Ba-doop boop 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 ba-doop boop boop. Ba-doop boop boop ba-doop ba-doop ba-doop. Doop ba-doop 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 boop boop ba-doop ba-doop boop boop boop. Welcome to Back and Forth Sports Talks Bragg-etology as we go through the entire 2018 men's basketball tournament brackets. I'm C, the producer. I'm joined by our resident expert, Michael Bragg.
What's going on? The madness. Let the madness begin.
It's crazy. If you'd like to place a comment or prediction, comment, while we're live, that is, or even in the comments, go to the comments and put it there, and it'll appear up on the right side of the screen. Not exactly the screen we wanted today, but we didn't. Sorry, what was that? No. This isn't exactly the screen we had planned for, but sometimes you have technical difficulties. So anyway, let us get right into the bracket, and we'll start for those who do the first four, which really I think you have to when you do the 11 seed games. The 16 seed games, that's pretty much guaranteed that they're going to lose. So it's always been, but you never know. So Mike, who do you have between LIU Brooklyn and number 16 Radford?
Well, seeing as the current score is 51-44.
No, it's not.
Towards Radford.
Yeah, you weren't supposed to.
It's hanging in. LIU Brooklyn's hanging in tough so far, but I mean they were the fourth best team in the NEC that were able to come through and win the tournament. I think if it was Wagner playing in this game, I would feel more confidence for the NEC's representatives, but also Radford hasn't been in the tournament in forever, and if I recall correctly, if they win this game, it will be the first tournament win technically in school history. So they're pretty fired up. So I'll probably lean towards Radford in this one.
I agree with that because like you mentioned, LIU was the fourth seed in the NEC bracket and just barely squeaked in through to the championship. Wagner was the one seed, lost to them at home in the finals, and because of that, they're in the NIT playing Baylor. All right, so we both agree with Radford beating LIU Brooklyn. The other Tuesday game, number 11 St. Bonaventure versus number 11 UCLA.
I'm definitely going UCLA here. Going to be St. Bonaventure is the underdog from a smaller conference. Going to try to make some noise, but I see UCLA pulling this one out.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you with that one. I think maybe UCLA was actually a little underappreciated this year. I don't know if they should have deserved to play in a bubble game, but they are, and I think they'll pull this one out. Then we got Wednesday's first four games. You have number 16 North Carolina Central versus Texas Southern.
That's a good one. That one might be a little bit up in the air. I think I would roll a little bit towards Texas Southern. But I can't say that I saw too much of either one of these programs.
I'm with you in that and it's hard. It's a hard one to call. I'm gonna have to lean towards North Carolina Central though. A little less travel. Yeah, it's a lot on the traveling. I think I have to travel less. And the other game will be Arizona State versus Syracuse.
Yeah, Syracuse seems like the last few years they've been finding themselves in a situation where they're on the bubble, trying to just hoping to get in, and some don't feel that they belonged in the field this year, but they're able to get in again. But it seems like Boeheim is always able to get them fired up, and when they got to get rolling. So since he's got the experience, I think I would lean towards Syracuse here.
Oh, yeah, this one's a lot like the other game. It's hard for me to call this one. It's like both have a good argument to why they would win the game, but I'm gonna have to give this one to Arizona State. But let's get to the main bracket. Start with the round of 64 in the South. We have number 1 University of Virginia versus number 16 University of Maryland, Baltimore County. DMV matchup there. Is this one in question?
No chance. Well, UMBC's going to try to put up a fight, but the struggle will be real against the elite defense that is Virginia. But they're hoping, fortunately, it shouldn't be a smoke job just because UVA is not about lighting people up. But it'll probably be a low-scoring affair unless UMBC's defense is just horrific.
All right, let's go.
Oh. Win for UVA.
Yeah, I think you have to go with University of Virginia on this one. Next one, they will play the winners of Creighton and Kansas State. Creighton being the 8th seed, by the way.
What's that?
Creighton being the 8th seed, by the way.
Yeah, I saw a lot of Creighton this year. McDermott's always got them playing at a high level and very competitive. It's hard to go in there and get an easy win. Anytime you see Creighton, it's going to be a battle. But I've got Creighton getting the win over Kansas State in this one.
I have
Especially since Kansas State's dealing with a couple injuries.
Yeah, that's a good point. I still have Kansas State over that. I think their defense will slow down Creighton enough. I think they have. I mean, I know they play Villanova, but I still think they have the tougher schedule, and they pretty much have mirror records in conference and in the recent games here. But we'll have to agree to disagree on that one. Next we have. Oh, go ahead.
Don't forget that two of the number 1 seeds were in their division this year because they got swept by Xavier. They were able to beat Nova once, split with Seton Hall. Got smoked by Gonzaga. But definitely had a tough schedule this year.
True.
All right.
Yeah, okay. Let's go. Next we have the Super Young, which is kind of funny when people call a college team young, but you have the University of Kentucky, who is almost all freshmen, versus Davidson, who's Kentucky number 5 seed, Davidson number 12 seed, by the way.
Yeah, Davidson's going to be fighting an uphill battle. Clearly, the talent edge is going to go to Kentucky here, but Davidson's got a kid named Peyton Aldridge averaging 21 a night. They rolled through the Atlantic 10 tournament. They got some experience. Aldridge is a senior, and their offense is pretty reliable. But it's probably going to be a little too much, I would think, just the talent alone in Kentucky, unless they just can't buy a bucket, is going to be enough to get them over Davidson, just because of the overwhelming talent advantage.
Well, Well, actually, we're going to disagree again. Actually, I think this one's going to be an upset. I like Davidson. They have a good outside shooting game. The whole starting lineup can hit the three ball, so they don't. If their shot is on, they won't have to come in down into the middle against Kentucky. Their defense is a little better top 25. Oh, Kentucky was 0-4 versus top 25 teams, while Davidson was 3-5.
That is true.
And
they're one of the bigger wins in school history if they could pull it off.
Yeah, they also are 10-2 in their last 12 games versus Kentucky, who's 7-5.
That's true, but those 12 games for Davidson were all within their conference.
True.
To the SEC.
Very true.
I would actually like to see that.
Next we have Arizona, the number 4 seed in the South. South. Versus the number 13 seed, Buffalo.
Well, clearly Arizona's got the man, DeAndre Ayton. A lot of people think he's going to be the number 1 overall pick, the best player in the tournament. All their off-court issues notwithstanding, it's definitely going to be a tough go for Buffalo. But they got a good offense and a lot of guys that can score. But I think Arizona seems to be on a mission. Like a lot of people are suggesting that they've decided that this is the world against Arizona with all the everything going on with Miller, the coach, and the issues he's been involved in. A lot of people think that Arizona's on a mission this year, and I don't see Buffalo getting in their way. So Arizona shouldn't even be a 4 seed. They definitely should be either a 1 or 2. So from that perspective, Buffalo probably got jobs. They're facing a team that was more of a 4 seed. Maybe they might have a better chance.
I agree with most things you're saying, and though I do think eventually they're going to start getting interviewed over and over about the off-court issues, and it's going to start getting in their head, and it's going to end up eventually ruining them. But I don't think this is going to be the game. I got them moving on as well. Now we go to the other side of the South bracket. We have Miami, the number 6 seed in the South, and number 11 Loyola Chicago.
Yeah, I think Loyola Chicago's they may be in a situation where they're just happy to be there since it's the first time in the tournament since 1985. But they're going to have to try to dial it in and get focused pretty quickly. Since Hurricane seems to play a team game. They got a lot of guys scoring and moving the ball a lot and try to come at you from a lot of different angles. But I would say the U's probably going to get a victory here, and Loyola would just be happy to be in attendance.
Yeah, Loyola really doesn't have much experience in big games. They had no top 25 opponents. Their 2 biggest games was Florida and Boise State. They beat Florida by 6, but they got blown out by Boise State by 34. It's hard to say Loyola's going to get by a team like Miami.
Yeah, it's a tough win, although the Florida win is definitely impressive.
Yeah. Next we have number 3 Tennessee and number 14 Wright State.
Wright State is in a world of hurt.
It is.
But Tennessee is another team that's kind of like UVA. They're gonna clamp down on the defense. They're gonna try to shut you down. And I don't know that Wright State is gonna have enough power to overcome that. And they're gonna have to get really hot from downtown. And not be missing anything. But if they can get hot, who knows?
True.
Like,
My analysis of Wright State is pretty much almost identical to Loyola. They have no big game experience, no top 25 opponents. I mean, their listed biggest games is Loyola Chicago, which they lost by 4. Murray State, they lost by 19. Western Kentucky, they lost by 18. And their biggest win is Toledo, a win by 8. It's hard for me to believe that team's going to beat a team who has a 8 RPI ranking.
yeah, it's going to. They're going to need to be hot. They got a big man, 6'9", 275-pound freshman. He's averaging 13 points and 10 rebounds a game. If they can pound it down to him, and they got a senior guard averaging 15 a night, which gives them a little bit of an inside-outside combination. But whether or not they'll be able to get it going, because the big man is a freshman, we'll see how Tennessee handles that. They got a lot of guys that just seem to love defense, so they're probably in trouble. I would say Tennessee gets that win.
Yeah, I agree. Next, we have number 7 Nevada versus number 10 Texas.
Yeah, Texas seems like, I mean, they have talent. You know, Shaka Smart's been there a few years now. I've had plenty of recruiting classes now, but it seems like they still seem to underachieve. I mean, they got 2-8 versus top 25 this year, which is underwhelming.
Yep.
8-10 in the conference, scored 71 a night, but they got one of the biggest, or one of the highest projected picks in the upcoming draft with Bamba, big defensive guy, averaging 13 for 12.9, 10.4 rebounds, 3.7 blocks a night. So he's going to rebound and defend. It's going to make it tough for Nevada to get anything going, probably in the paint. But I would not be surprised if Nevada can get the upset here. I think they actually got a couple of twins, 6'7", transferred over from NC State. Them with another guy are combining for 50.6 points per game, 20 rebounds, and 9 assists. I could see Nevada getting on a roll and upsetting Texas here unless they just can't hit from outside and Bamba is able to shut them down in the paint all night.
Yeah, there's a lot of things about Nevada I like, but I just can't pull the trigger on them, even as the higher seed. Like you said, or seem to insinuate, I think Texas has the defense to shut down their shut down the offense of Nevada enough. But I mean, you never know. In games like this, 7-10, that's practically an 8-9 game, which is a coin flip. But I like Texas in that game.
Yeah, we're on the same page here.
All right. Next.
Wait,
what? Wait.
Yeah, we're on the opposite ends there. I can see Texas getting upset in that one.
Is that who you picked?
Yeah, I'm going down.
Oh, okay. All right. Next, we have number 2 Cincinnati versus number 15 Georgia State.
Yeah, Cincinnati, I like them a lot this year. The Basketball Power Index has them at a 5, 16-2 in their conference this year, and 500 ball, 3-3 over the top 25, which still isn't bad. Scoring 74 a night. But they once again kind of like, seems like there's a few teams in the tournament this year that are all about defense. If you got a bunch of guys that are buying in on playing defense. And one of the reviews I read said that they begin defending their opponents as soon as they get off the bus.
Yeah, they're.
So, what's that?
I was going to agree. Their defense is very good.
Yeah, and it seems like it's a trend this year. There's a lot of teams like that going especially being led by the number one overall seed, UVA. But the Panthers are going to get smoked in this. I think the only question is whether or not they're going to get shut out.
Yeah, they're another team like I've mentioned before, with no real big game experience against anyone really impressive. No top 25 opponents. They have a decent defense, but against who? Um, yeah, I don't see Cincinnati losing this.
Yeah, I think we're right about that. In fact, I got Cincinnati making some noise this year.
All right, now before we go to the West, just found out Teddy Bridgewater heading to the Jets. Uh, more on that later if we have time.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right, next we have the West bracket. Starting off with Xavier. They are facing, sorry, the winner of the North Carolina Central Texas Southern game.
Yeah, Xavier had a really, really good year in the Big East. It seems like the only issue they have, they've got no answer for Villanova. I think they've lost something like 8 of the last 9 matchups against Villanova. And they've swept them again this year, but they did beat Cincinnati by 13. Swept Seton Hall, who's a very good team this year. Did lose twice to Providence, but then swept Butler and Creighton both times. And so surprisingly, they only had 3 games against the top 25. Both of those losses are clearly to Villanova. The one win must be the Cincinnati win by 13. But clearly, this is going to be an easy win, no matter who shows up. Xavier should easily get by this opponent. I don't see a first-time event of a 16 knocking off a 1 here.
Yeah, as long as they don't come in with that attitude of this game's going to be super easy and we don't have to try, they should be fine. Next, they will play the winner of the 8-9 matchup between Missouri, who's the 8, and FSU, Florida State University, who is the 9. What do you got?
Missouri's one of those teams where you can't even really look at the season this year. I mean, you can't look at anything they accomplished during the regular season and try to use it going into this game because they're without a guy who's going to be with basically a top 5 pick in Michael Porter Jr. for basically the entire season until he just returned. I think 1 game before the tournament, or maybe it was the first game in the SEC tournament. I think he returned. So it's tough to project Missouri because who knows how Porter Jr. is going to come out if they're able to get him into a rhythm and he's playing the way everyone expects that he can play. Missouri could actually make some noise and also makes their 8th seed a little bit deceiving because they could be, with Michael Porter, deserving to be like a top 4 seed. But Florida State, 2 and 3, they're top 25, 9 and 9 in the conference. They had a pretty good year, but it's definitely it's a toss-up game. I think I went with Missouri here just because of the potential Michael Porter Jr. brings.
Well,
the ultimate wild card.
Right. It always worries me when you add such a big piece back to the equation because sometimes that can mess up your chemistry, and I think the problem here is if Porter doesn't get that offense going, they're facing a very good offense in FSU, scores over 80 points a game by average. If he or the rest of the team doesn't come out hitting buckets, Florida State could get up big and put Missouri in some quicksand. Now, Missouri has good defense, but again, new piece into the, or not a new piece, but yeah, sort of like a new piece back into the mix on defense. That can mess up the defensive chemistry, and Florida State can take advantage of something like that. I think they move on, and I think that's what I'll put my money on.
We disagree on that one, but it's definitely up in the air. I can see that happening too, especially if they can't get Michael Porter Jr. On the same page or rolling. He was very aggressive in his first game back, put up like 19 shots, so he was trying to get into his rhythm. I think that's kind of a good thing, even though some people thought he was forcing the action.
Yeah,
he was trying to get up as many shots and try to get warmed up, I guess.
Yeah, it's, you know, I mean, that's the thing about basketball. You could have the best shooter in the game. If he has a bad night, then you better have a whole nother team behind you who can back that up.
Exactly.
So we move on to number 5, Ohio State University versus the 12 seed South Dakota State.
I think the Ohio State University is in some serious trouble with the Jackrabbits in the house. This is their third straight tournament appearance. They got a beast in the middle, 6'9", 250 pounds, Mike Daum, averaging 24 a night, 10.4 rebounds a game, shooting 42% from the field. They also are do a great job of taking care of the ball. They don't turn it over or shoot themselves in the foot, and they're shooting like 39-40% from downtown. I think this is going to be one of my big upset picks. I see the Jackrabbits taking it to the Ohio State University.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. Actually, I know I don't agree with that.
Nobody's perfect.
Huh?
Nobody's perfect.
Yep, that's. I think Ohio State's defense is good enough to match what Dom does to them, back to them or whatever. I think Ohio State's definitely got big game experience. San Diego State, another team. I mean, they played Kansas and got destroyed, but that's practically their biggest, or only big game, unless you want to count Wichita State and Buffalo. Which Wichita State they also lost by 10, and Buffalo they actually beat though. I don't see San Diego State pulling off the upset in this one. But
I see that. Yeah, I see them getting this win and a couple more wins. Watch out for the Jackrabbits.
All right. We'll move on to number 4 Gonzaga versus number 13 University of North Carolina G, i.e. Greensboro. I was heard somewhere that you're just supposed to call him G now.
Nice.
Huh?
Nice.
Oh, no.
OGs.
Yeah. Who do you have in this one?
I see Gonzaga taking care of business here. UNC G might put up a decent fight here. Although Gonzaga, I don't think they're as good as they were last year. It seemed like they got off to a slow start. Villanova took it to them, and they smoked Ohio State by 27. Beat Creighton, lost to Florida, and split with St. Mary's. Close game with Texas, but looks like their biggest win is a 5-point win over NC State, which is a pretty good win.
Yeah.
And a loss to Virginia, just like everybody else did. But I see Gonzaga taking care of business here.
This is one of the games I just have a feeling kind of like UNCG could be that team. Like you said, they had the big win against North Carolina State. They didn't lose by Virginia to Virginia by that much, only 12 points, which, depending on how that game ended, I didn't see it. That could just been junk points. Um, but Gonzaga's been kind of up and down themselves. They are on the 12. Are sorry, they are undefeated in their last 12 games, so they have that going for. Shows what they can do. But they've got destroyed by Villanova. They beat Ohio State pretty badly. They beat Creighton pretty badly, but they lost to Florida State. They split with St. Mary's. I don't know. This one just screams to me as a big upset. I'm gonna have to go with UNCG.
Yeah, you said something about up and down, but Gonzaga's 30-4. That doesn't sound like up and down to me.
Yeah, but I mean, their conference is like a 3-team conference. It's like BYU, St. Mary's, them, and everyone else is a jobber. I mean, sometimes San Francisco shows up, but yeah. I mean, usually I'm apologetic to Gonzaga because a lot of people don't give them any credit. I can't really. Not this year for me. But who knows?
Yeah, I think they could pull the miracle. I think Gonzaga's just going to be too experienced and too good for them, but they do play pretty good defense. If Gonzaga can't find an answer to that, I could see a potential struggle. But I say 15-point win for the Zags.
All right. Next we move to the other side of the West bracket. You have number 6 Houston versus number 11 San Diego State.
Yeah, I have San Diego State pulling a little bit of an upset in this one. They've won 9 straight games coming in. They're starting to get on fire. They got some good size, very good rebounding team, and very good on the defensive end. And they had some, speaking of the team we just beat Gonzaga, they just beat, talking about Gonzaga, they beat Gonzaga by two wins over Nevada.
Yep.
And a smoke job by Arizona State, 22.
To be fair, they're 2 and 3, or 2 of 3 against Nevada. But go ahead.
Yeah, lost I think in the conference tournament, if I recall correctly. Maybe not. Must have won the conference tournament. They won 9 straight to end the season.
Yeah, one of the regular season games.
But yeah, I can see Houston's going to be tough. I think I can see where Houston should win this game and should have the lead. I'm pulling a little bit on San Diego State to come up big. Rob Gray is a problem for Houston because he gets buckets. But I could see San Diego State getting the upset here.
These teams are very similar. Huh? Go ahead.
It's also a size discrepancy. San Diego State's got a lot of size inside, and while Houston is lacking in the paint, so if San Diego can feed it inside a lot, they could have a huge advantage there.
True. I think Houston actually has the defense, though, to counter issues they may have in the paint. So, I think they have the better experience. Excuse me. The Gonzaga win for San Diego State is huge. But what was I gonna say? What I liked about one of the things I like about Houston is they have that much better RPI and BPI. It's another one. It's a very close matchup, but I got to give that one to Houston. And so we go over to the teams they will play, which is the winner of number 3 Michigan and number 14 Montana. The Grizzlies of Montana.
I very, very, very much want to call the upset right here with the Grizzlies of Montana. I wish they had gotten a different matchup. I like this team a lot. They very good rebounders. These guys are hard workers on the glass and on the defensive end. They have 4 different players averaging more than a steal a night. And are just loaded with hustle. These are the guys that kind of team that you could see will be out there outworking you, out hustling you, beating you to the rebound, fighting and scratching and clawing for everything they could get. But the problem is they're playing Michigan, and Michigan is red hot, coming off a second straight conference championship. And if they had any other matchup, I would probably call for Montana to get the upset here. But I just can't find a way that they could beat Michigan, even though I'd like to pick that.
I'm kind of on the same page with you on that one. I don't like the fact they don't have any really big games, though. So I just add that to why I picked Michigan as well. But I mean, pretty much everything you said, I'm on board with. Another matchup, and I'd be a lot more willing to pull the trigger for Montana, but not against Michigan.
Yeah, if they could have been maybe a little higher. But yeah, there's no way they're going to beat Michigan, I don't think.
All right, next we have the number 7 seed, Texas A&M University versus number 10. Wait, did I say 7? The number 7 seed, Texas A&M University versus the number 10 seed, Providence.
Yeah, Providence is a tough team. Seems like it's, you go in against Providence, they never take it easy on you. They made it all the way to the conference championship game against Villanova in forced overtime. After upsetting, I believe they knocked off Xavier before that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're only a shot away from winning that game against Nova in overtime. Jalen Brunson coming through with 2 huge free throws to force that overtime. But so I got Providence knocking off Texas A&M. I think they got a lot of heart, even though Texas A&M had a good year. They're both 3 and 5 in the top 25, scoring about 75 points a game. Both 7 and 5 in their last 12. So I got to give it to Providence. Beat Xavier twice this year, and Nova once during the season. Lost to Rhode Island. Lost to Houston. Did get swept by Seton Hall, but beat Creighton twice and got a win off of Butler. I'm riding with the Friars.
Yeah, I think if you, like you mentioned, they have 2 close. They're 500 versus Villanova / Xavier, and then you add 2 close losses. 2 of those were close losses. They could very easily be 5 and 6 against Villanova and Xavier together. I think it shows that. Yeah, I think it shows that they get up for big games. I think their problem is they kind of lag for games that aren't big. So yeah, I actually also like Providence.
Yeah, that'll be a good game, but I see the Friars moving on.
Me too. Next we have their opponents are the team they'll play. You know what I'm saying? They'll play the winner of the number 2 seed University of North Carolina and number 15 Lipscomb. Lipscomb.
Yeah, the Bison probably in serious trouble here. They got a guy that can like a silver bucket guy. Had 12 games, 25 points this season. They got another guy with 16 a night, and they force turnovers, but they also turn it over themselves. No really interesting wins. 0-2 in the top 25, 10-4 in their conference. They're going down hard.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that one. They do have some big game opponents, but I mean they didn't do anything against them. Maybe that'll help them. Excuse me. Maybe that'll help them in that big pressure situation. They do have a good offense. Lipscomb, that is. Their defense isn't that good, though. Their defense is pretty bad, which I think is their downfall. So you might see, excuse me, Lipscomb really take it down to the wire against UNC. But I think in the end, UNC is going to be like, wait a minute, and pull this out. This might be one of those. I'm kind of thinking this is going to be one of those games that is real close. But at the end, UNC kind of blows it open at the end, and some of it will be like junk points, and then everyone will be like, "Oh yeah, UNC killed Lipscomb," and it's like, no, it was really actually a close game. But moving on to the East bracket, where we start with Villanova versus the winners of LIU and Radford. Do I even have to ask?
Well, first let's check in on that game, see where we're at. It is a final. Now we know they will be playing Radford, who got their first tournament win in school history, 71-61 final. Unfortunately, the NEC champion is dead. Radford it's a good thing they got to play in the first round, because if that wasn't the case, they were not going to pick up a win. But they got their first win in school history. Now they got Villanova waiting, and I don't know if we really need to talk about it.
No, I don't think so.
Unless a choke of a monumental proportion takes place, this should be the easy win for a veteran loaded team that is battle tested and mother approved. What?
All right, next they will play the winner of number 8 Virginia Tech, number 9 Alabama.
Now, this is a very interesting matchup. Virginia Tech had a huge year. It seemed like every time it turned around, they were knocking off top teams, 4-3 in the top 25, with wins over Duke, UVA, and North Carolina, also Clemson. Although they did get swept by Louisville and the U. But Alabama also has one of the best players in the nation in Colin Sexton, who has the ability to take over a game. Had 58 points in the first 2 games of the SEC tournament. But I don't know if he's going to be enough to take over and to beat a Virginia Tech team that seems to get up for all the big games so far this year against in a big situation. I'm going with Virginia Tech here because it seems like they've proven they can win big games so far this year, even though Alabama was 4-4 also against the top 25.
I kind of agree with everything you said there. I'll add that Virginia Tech has a better offense than Alabama as well. I think the question is, can Alabama's star take over? And what I would think Virginia Tech will treat this as a big game, not, it's a first round that we should win. I mean, it's an 8-9 seed, so I'm pretty sure they're going to come in there treating this like a big game. So I'm giving it to Virginia Tech as well. And if Virginia Tech doesn't come in like this is a big game, they need to look at that coach and be like, what did you say to them or not say to them? which is crazy because sometimes these teams that are not bigger seeds than their opponent come in looking like they had an easy win. So I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised. But moving on, we have number 5 West Virginia University versus number 12 Murray.
Yeah, Murray is
Murray State is
has a little bit.
not to piss off anybody from Murray State.
Murray State.
Yeah.
They're coming in hot on a 13-game winning streak. They got 3 guys playing pretty well. The OVC Player of the Year, Jonathan Stark, 21.8 a night. They got a big man averaging 14.7 and 8 rebounds, and a freshman coming in scoring 13 a night with 6.6 rebounds and 6.4 assists. Highly impressive, especially for a Murray State. Sounds like a kid should be going to Temple University. But anyway. So it sounds like they're a team that may have to get red hot from downtown, and if it's not falling, they could be in trouble. Huggins usually has his teams ready this time of year, so I'm going to give the nod to West Virginia, but at the same time, I can see Murray, if they get red hot, Murray State pulling off an upset, but I got West Virginia in this one.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of things you say. I don't know. I think West Virginia just feels like they've been kind of up and down this year. I think they might be a lot like West Virginia. If they come in here thinking, oh, the 12 seed is only beat a 5 seed 4 times, I think they're going to become the 5th one.
Yeah.
And actually, I usually always pick a 12 seed to go over on a 5 seed, and this one's it. I got Murray State.
Out on the limb.
Well, you kind of have to with these.
Yeah, those numbers by the freshman are very impressive. If he doesn't end up transferring somewhere else, he could be keep an eye on the next couple of years for Murray State. I mean, everyone with 14 points a game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists as a freshman.
Well, that's even more reason for him to play. I mean, unless it messes him up. But I mean, a big game, he could look like a even better target from other colleges. So he could transfer to a college he'd rather be in. And though maybe he loves Murray State, so I don't know.
Yeah, if he's there, Murray State might be right back in this thing next year.
All right. Moving on to number 4, Wichita State versus number 13, Marshall.
It's unbelievable, but this is the first tournament appearance for the Thundering Herd since 1987.
Yeah, that surprised me too.
Dan D'Antoni. There's a lot of D'Antonis out there. Head coach of the Herd. Looks like they're running a fast offense, hurling a bunch of threes all night, so high scoring backcourt. Guy averaging 22.8 a night, 6 rebounds, 6.9 assists, and John Elmore and C.J. Burks scoring 20.5 a night. Not a very good rebounding team, and if you've got an inside presence, it sounds like you can give them a problem. Wichita State, I don't feel like they've been as good as previous years, but once again, they were on top of that conference, and beat Cincinnati, lost to Houston twice, lost to Oklahoma. That's not a good loss there.
That's not a terrible loss. I think people kind of treat Oklahoma like they were LSU back when they had I'm blanking on his name. Come on, you should know. Huh?
Shaq, or are you talking about Ben Simmons?
Simmons, yeah. don't think
Yeah,
Oklahoma
I mean
is
they
LSU
gotta
would.
go. Yeah, they should probably be home watching, but or at least at the NIT. But I think everyone wanted to see Trey Young.
Oh yeah,
But I would give this win to Wichita State over Marshall. I think they got the experience and just a little bit too much talent.
yeah. I think Wichita State. I mean, as good as Marshall's offense is, I think Wichita State's even better, and they have a defense to slow down Marshall as well. So I don't see Marshall pulling this one off. So I think we have Wichita State going to the second round. Now the other half of the East bracket, you have number 6 Florida versus the winner of St. Bonaventure and UCLA.
Yeah, so I picked UCLA, so you got UCLA and Florida, but Florida had a pretty good year whenever Cincinnati, impressive, whenever Auburn beat Kentucky twice, which is huge, and a win over Gonzaga. A lot of big wins, taking them to 5-3 in the top 25. But they have 5 guys. A lot of their a couple of the guys off the bench like to shoot the 3 ball, so they put up threes like there's no tomorrow. And they also take care of the basketball. So it's an interesting combination because if they're not hot, they could struggle. But I think Florida's had enough success this year. I think I'm going to ride with them past UCLA.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with you. I mean, it's hard to predict when it could be either team, but we both predicted UCLA here in the beginning of the show. I definitely would have to say would have to go to Florida State at this point, or not Florida State, sorry, Florida. I got a lot of angry Gator and Florida State fans at me now. Yeah, I think Florida's defense is good enough and offense is good enough to where they'll be able to handle whatever whichever team gets thrown at them. But moving on, we have in Dallas, Texas, Texas Tech University versus sorry, Stephen F. Austin. No, that's not Stone Cold.
Stone Cold University.
Yes. Stephen F. Austin University. Wow. They should change their logo to old Stone Cold flipping the bird. But it's got to be in the middle, like the F is in the name. But go ahead.
I think I'm going to go shocker here and call 14 over 3 and Stephen F. Austin getting the win. Texas Tech has lost 5 of its last 7 games. They're kind of trending down, and they got a huge injury with their leading scorer, Keenan Evans, with a toe injury. I'm not sure if he's out, but I don't think he's 100%. Austin plays hardcore defense, leading the nation in turnovers. They got a trio or a bunch of guys that are scoring in high numbers. I think they can get hot here and try to kick Texas Tech while they're down. Don't put your money on it. They got Stone Cold for the win in the heart of Texas.
I mean, if Stone Cold could come out and hit some players with a folding chair, then I could see Stephen F. Austin pulling this off. But I don't think they have the experience. I mean, they did beat LSU by 1, but that's their biggest win. Their 2 other big games were Missouri and Mississippi
State.
State.
The way to say that is that Stephen Austin stunned LSU by 1.
That's great. People with no knowledge of wrestling are like, what?
Yeah.
join us on WrestleMania weekend for Back to Bragg's WrestleMania weekend series. Anyway, did I say week or weekend? It's a whole week. It's like a week and a half. Anyway, moving on. I have Texas Tech University, though. I think their defense will make up for Evans' injury, keep them in the game, or keep them not just in the game, but winning the game.
Yeah, my actual bracket, I actually have Texas Tech going a long ways, but on this moment, I'm picking Stone Cold.
All right. Next, we have number 7 Arkansas versus number 10 Butler.
Both of them went 2-5, top 25, playing almost 500 ball in their conferences. Kind of Butler playing 500 at the end of the season. Kind of a toss-up matchup in my book. I could see this one going either way. But I'm going to go with the Butler Bulldogs to get the win.
I'm going to have to actually agree with you on that one. I wish I would have thought this earlier. I'm wondering who was the tougher or stronger conference this year, the SEC or the Big East. I'm going to have to go with, I would think the Big East because Villanova and Xavier. But, I mean, if you're talking the whole conference, that might be a little different. Like you said, I mean, their conference record is almost identical. Arkansas is 10-8, Butler's 9-9. But, I mean, did Arkansas have to play Villanova 3 times, Xavier twice? And really, I think Butler's has the I mean, they have the better BPI. I think they have the better big games list, so to speak. I'm gonna agree with you. Is what I'm getting at. That I think Butler's gonna pull this one off. Arkansas has a little bit better offense, but their defense is kind of lacking. I mean, both teams are, but yeah, I just gotta go with Butler on this one. So we're on agreement with Butler.
Yep.
All right, moving on. The winner of that game will play the winner of number 2 Purdue and number 15 Cal State University Fullerton. What do you got?
Well, Purdue clearly was one of the hottest teams during the regular season, winning 19 straight. Unbelievable. Before they cooled off a little bit and won a few in a row before falling to Michigan. I don't see any way in the world they lose this game, but it shouldn't be close. But
no, it shouldn't.
Especially when you got a 7'2", 290-pound man scoring 15 a night and clogging up the paint. But Purdue should cruise here for the easy win.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you as well. Yeah, I think you pretty much nailed that one. All right, moving on to the last but not least Midwest bracket. We have number 1 Kansas versus number 16 Penn, the underseeded Penn. I think a lot of people agree that they should have been a 15. I mean, that's not huge, but, you know, 15's actually beaten a 2 before.
Yeah, there's a lot of metrics out there that say that Penn is the second greatest 16th seed of all time. I mean, I would love to see the upset here somehow. I mean, you figure the numbers say at some point 16 is going to be the one. One of these years it's going to happen, and I say, why not now?
Really?
No, you're going down.
Um,
But I'd love to see it. But I'd love to see Penn get it done. I was actually at the Ivy League tournament, and so I saw Penn knock off. I wasn't there for the championship game, but I saw them beat Yale, I believe. Yeah, because it was Harvard and Cornell. So I was there for the win versus Yale. I like the way Penn plays. They can hit the three. They got a big man inside who's very good at scoring. With his back to the basket, he can take it down low. He's got to be, for an Ivy League team, he's pretty skilled for, I would say he's at least 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", somewhere in there. And they can also shoot. So if they can get hot and can find a way to score down low against Kansas, anything's possible. But man, is everything going to have to go perfect for them? They're going to be red hot. They can't be turning the ball over. And then it's going to have to be just a perfect performance for
yeah.
them to get the win.
Yeah, Penn, if they were a 15 seed, I would strongly consider them to win. At least as strong as you can consider a 15 seed to win. But not against Kansas, not even if Kansas was a 2 seed. I don't see Penn pulling this one off. No chance. Well, I don't want to say no chance.
Kansas might be one of the weaker 1 seeds. 7-loss year. You figure they've lost twice to Oklahoma State. Team not even in the tournament. Or not Oklahoma State, Oklahoma. Oh wait, Oklahoma State. Yeah.
Right.
Oklahoma's in. So, I feel like 7 losses for a team is high for a number 1 seed. So you have that, but it's still hard to imagine.
Yeah. One thing going for Penn is the line on the game is the second lowest ever between a 16 and a 1 seed. So, Penn can look at that for a little extra, motivation that they might be able to pull this one off. But yeah, I don't think either of us think it's going to happen. All right.
Yeah, also Penn is very good at defending the 3-point shot. They're excellent at that. So Kansas thinks they're going to roll in and shoot the lights out. That could be a problem.
It could be one of the most interesting or entertaining 16-1 games ever. But yeah, that's not the one I'm gonna go with. But yeah, moving on. I think we've covered that one enough, especially for a 1-16. The winner of that game, whoever that will be, will face the winner of the 8-9 matchup between number 8 Seton Hall and number 9 North Carolina State.
Yeah, Seton Hall. Seton Hall. That was a very crazy, a little bit of a crazy team this year, up and down. It seemed like when they were all on the same page, they could do a lot of damage. And they had some times where it seemed like they had some infighting arguments, guys not on the same page, and there was collapses. But they have a beast in the middle, 6'10", Angel Delgado. That is a powerhouse down low, averaging 13.3 a night with 11.6 rebounds. And they got a lot of experience to go around him. But they've been up and down a lot. If they can get it on the same page against NC State, I think they got a shot to win. But the Wolfpack are kind of on the opposite end. They're coming in hot for them overall, even though they lost in the first round of the tournament. I think they've won 5 of the last 6 games, and they got some seniors leading the way there.
Well, losing in the first round tournament means they've been sitting for a little while before they get their first game. Um, I mean, they do get to play on Thursday, so that'll help a little bit. Um, I This one is definitely one of those toss-up games. It's hard to say. I think Seton Hall. Wow, yeah, this one is like, who do you pick? I mean, you can go with the hot hand, which is Seton, or which is NC State. But there's something calling my name about Seton Hall too. A few things. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Seton Hall. I'm going to gamble that they're able to get on the same page and that this Delgado kid proves to be unstoppable. And I'm going to say they get the win. I got a guy that I work with, huge NC State fan, won't be happy about that, but
yeah.
I'm sure he's listening.
Yeah, Seton Hall is to me is like the higher seed underdog that I'm still going to go with. But then, I mean, this game I think is like who's Kansas's neck victim, so even getting this one wrong, I don't think my bracket's going to get busted. Though
my bracket is actually busted if Seton Hall falls.
What?
I got Seton Hall making some noise.
Oh.
Some serious noise. But that's for later.
Right. All right. Okay. Next we have number 5 Clemson versus number 12 New Mexico State.
Yeah, I think I see Clemson getting the win easy here. New Mexico State has a top 25 experience. You know, they're hot 10-2 coming in. They got a big time scorer and a guy that can easily get a double-double on any night. But I think Clemson's going to get the win here.
This one's interesting. Both teams have really good defenses. Sorry, their offenses are all right. Like I've been mentioning, like I've been mentioning all show. Not really behind teams that don't have any top 25 games at all. Though New Mexico State has beaten Miami, which is probably their closest opponent to a Clemson or anyone really good. They did lose to USC by 5 and St. Mary's by 7. They will have a little advantage by they're only going up the road not up the road. They're only traveling about a quarter of the way that Clemson is, and they're gonna probably have home field advantage or home court advantage, being San Diego as well as being the underdog, because they always get that extra cheering section. I almost want to go with New Mexico State with this one.
There's one huge reason I would rethink that. I think if New Mexico State were to get the win, or going to have a chance to win, it would be a close game. And New Mexico State is one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the nation. And if you can't hit free throws, it's going to be tough to win big games.
You sound like someone who has experience with that. Painful memories and experience.
The struggle can be real.
Yeah. But like I said, I'm only considering it. I'm not going against Clemson. and that's one of the reasons why. Free throws, man. Free throws.
Nice. Man.
All right, don't have flashbacks. The winner of that game will face the winner of number 4 Auburn versus the winner of number the winner of number 4 Auburn and number 13 Charleston. Two more East Coast teams playing in the Midwest on the West Coast.
Yeah, I am a believer in the College of Charleston, and I've got them winning this game. They're coming in red hot. They got no experience at all against the top 25, but who needs it? Well, no wins. They got 2 losses. These boys are red hot. They've won 14 of the last 15 games. They got a kid named Grant Riller, 18.7 points per game. Another kid, Joe Sheely, 18 and a half a night. And another kid, Gerald Brantley, scoring 17. So they got 3 guys scoring 17 or more a night. Because of that, that combined with being a very good free throw shooting team, unlike New Mexico State. That's got upset written all over it. I've got Church, College of Charleston over Auburn.
I thought you were about
27 p.m.
I thought you were about to drop a score too.
I've got them going a couple rounds.
I like the points you made, but I think as long as Auburn doesn't choke, which is every game, as long as the team doesn't choke, they have a chance. Or if a team chokes, they're probably going to lose. But I think Auburn's offense is good enough to handle the hot College of Charleston team they'll be facing here this Friday night. So I'm going to have to go with Auburn on that one.
Yeah, both teams very good free throw shooting teams. Auburn's lost 3 of their last 4. But they got off to an early start. They choked against Alabama, if I recall correctly, in the SEC title game. But I think nothing stopped the College of Charleston. 3 gunners ready to go.
All right, we'll see if your upset comes to fruition. We move on to number 6, TCU, Texas Christian University versus the winner of Arizona State University and Syracuse.
Another tough game to pick because you don't know who's going to be, but TCU 2-4 against top 25, 9-9 in their conference. Lost to Kansas twice, beat Nevada by 4. However much you want to say, that's an impressive performance. Lost twice to Texas Tech. Split with West Virginia. Beat St. Bonaventure by 10. Oklahoma, and they lost twice. I got them going down to Syracuse.
You have Syracuse over TCU?
Yes.
Well, Syracuse does have a little advantage travel-wise. I mean, from Dayton to Detroit isn't that far. So they'll be able to use Thursday as a travel day or a rest day. Though, I think having to, or Arizona State, whichever, I think having to play, travel, and then play, which isn't something a college team is used to. I think unless TCU has a terrible game, I mean, TCU has a great offense. Unless TCU totally chokes on both sides of the ball, I think they'll be fine. I think eventually they'll be able to handle whichever they face whether it is Syracuse or Arizona State University.
Yeah, they got a lot of talent, especially offensively. Had a hardcore schedule. Seemed to lack some opportunities to win some impressive games, but could be a good game.
Yeah, it should be a good game. Actually, whichever team they face. Next we have number 3 Michigan State versus number 14 Bucknell.
Michigan State, a lot of people's favorite to go a long ways this year. I see them winning this pretty easily. Bucknell's got a couple guys that are having good seasons, including Zach Thomas, averaging 20.3 a night with 9.2 rebounds. Another guy averaging 15.4, 7.1. Now Folland. And another guy named Stephen Brown, 14.9 points per game. So they got a lot of scoring, but nothing against the top 25. And a win over Vermont, lost to North Carolina, lost to Arkansas by 28. This should be a piece of cake win for Michigan State.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. It does say something to only lose by 12 to North Carolina, though. But, Michigan State beat North Carolina by 18, so you want to put those together. That's a 30-point loss. You heard it here. Michigan State by 13.
All right.
Oh, my screen's giving me issues. Technical difficulty, folks. It happens. So let's talk real quick. Football. A lot of stuff happened in free agency today. Cousins to Minnesota, Bradford to Arizona, Bridgewater to Jets. What else did we hear?
You had Sammy Watkins to the Rams.
Yeah.
Not to the Rams, to the Chiefs. Sammy Watkins to the Chiefs. Chiefs going fully loaded for the young quarterback. Leave no excuses.
All right. I got my screen back up. More on NFL free agency probably next week. Next we're in the last 2 games of the first round. We have number 7 University of Rhode Island versus number 10 Oklahoma.
Yeah, Oklahoma's got no business being here.
Yeah, their defense is atrocious.
They did win 5 and lose 2 against the top 25. That's impressive, but lose the last 12 games 3-9. A lot of people don't think they should be there, and don't think Trae Young's the only reason they're there. Rhode Island had a very good year, despite a 30-point blowout to St. Joe's. They came back in the bench during the tournament. I'm calling Rhode Island over Oklahoma and putting their miserable second half of the season to bed. I'm calling the upset.
Actually, I think Oklahoma, despite their terrible defense, they have a great offense. I think their offense. Really like it's probably gonna live or die on Trae Young. But he's gonna need his teammates to prove that they can't just double team Trae Young. So I think if Oklahoma can do that, they can handle Rhode Island. It's probably going to be a close one either way. And then I think they're going to go on to lose in the next round to the winner of the 2:15 game
Well, just
between.
another thing on the Rhode Island, Oklahoma. I was wrong there. Technically, Rhode Island is the favorite because of the lower seed, so it's not an upset technically. But also, Trey Young seems to have some issues turning over, taking care of the basketball. Rhode Island is one of the best teams in forcing turnovers in the nation, and they, on the other hand, rarely turn the ball over themselves. Just a couple more interesting notes there about that game.
Well, either way, the winner of that game faces the winner of the final game of the first round, number 2 Duke versus number 15 Iona. Actually, that's one of the earliest first games of the tournament, but last one we're mentioning. Who you got?
Duke. Next question.
Yeah, I think that's an easy one. I mean, what do you say? It's Duke. I mean, Iona has a pretty good offense, but I mean, Duke's got a better offense and a better defense and better everything else. Yeah, I don't see this being one of the very, 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 very rare 15-over-2 games.
All right.
And that's the first round of games. So at this point, we'd be doing our own individual matchups of what we think. Let's talk about who you have going a long way in this.
Going where?
Who you have going a long way in this tournament?
Well, we could just talk about who we have making it to the Sweet 16, and then maybe next week, since those are the games being played this weekend, and then maybe next week pick up and see who we had going on compared to what actually happened. We could do that, right?
Yeah, let's do that.
Well, I can start with mine. We'll go in the East. I got Villanova and Virginia Tech meeting up, and I got Villanova getting the win there. Shocker. West Virginia and Wichita State. I like Wichita State, but it just don't seem to have the same attention to detail they usually have. And I got them falling to West Virginia, even though they're the higher seed. And then I got Florida and Texas Tech meeting up. And I got Texas Tech over Florida. And then I got Arkansas and Purdue at the bottom of the East meeting up. And I got Purdue over Arkansas. I don't think they'll have much trouble there. Then in the Midwest, I got Kansas and Seton Hall meeting, even though I wanted to pick the Penn upset. But I do actually have Seton Hall knocking off Kansas and moving on. And I got Clemson and the College of Charleston, and I have Charleston over Clemson, making an 8 and 13 seed meeting in the Elite Eight. Then I got TCU and Michigan State. And I got Michigan State over TCU, and Rhode Island losing to Duke for the end of the Midwest. Then over in the West, I got Xavier, Missouri meeting up, and I got Xavier over Missouri moving on, and I got the Jackrabbits over Gonzaga, making it a 12 versus 1 against Xavier in that bracket. And we got San Diego State and Michigan. I got Michigan over San Diego State, and I got UNC over Providence. And we head back up to the south, where we got UVA and Creighton, and I have Creighton over UVA.
Really?
And I got Kentucky. Yeah, Big East is like. Yeah, it's a pretty big upset. I feel like UVA is kind of yet to prove themselves I got them choking. Creighton being red hot. We'll see what happens there. That's a little bit of a gamble. I see UVA getting a win, so I got the upset. Then I got number 4, Arizona versus number 5, Kentucky, and I got Arizona knocking off Kentucky there. And I got Loyola Chicago versus Tennessee, and I got Tennessee getting the easy win. And then Nevada, Cincinnati, and Cincinnati beating Nevada. I think that's it for me in that round to get to the Sweet 16.
I am having a lot of technical issues on my side with this. I'm trying to pull up my second round matchups. Okay, here we go. Okay, yeah. I have Duke moving past Oklahoma in the second round. Michigan State squeaking by TCU. Auburn getting past Clemson. Kansas getting past Seton Hall. I have Butler upsetting Purdue. And I got them facing Texas Tech, who would be beating Florida. Hold up, something's wrong with my bracket here.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah. Oh, okay. The Murray State, blah, blah, blah. Murray State, Wichita State, I got, sorry. Wichita State getting by Murray State, Villanova getting past Virginia Tech, UNC taking down Providence, Michigan getting over Houston. So, UNC Michigan, that'd be a good game. I have Ohio State getting past Gonzaga and facing Florida State, who would upset Xavier.
Wow.
Yeah. I have Cincinnati beating Texas. Tennessee getting past Miami. Arizona taking down Davidson.
Wow. That's right. I forgot you had that. Davidson over Kentucky.
Oh yeah. And the final match would have been come on. Oh yeah. I have actually was with you with the upset over University of Virginia, but by Kansas State.
Yeah, okay. So you got UVA losing in the second round too.
Yeah, just by a different team.
That'd be an epic failure.
Yeah.
Although a lot of people think that they got the raw end in their seeding, but so we definitely got some interesting picks to look back on next week. See where I'm sure our brackets were destroyed by the end of the day Thursday.
Yours might be, mine will be perfect. All the way through, baby. Oh yeah.
Who knows what awaits a Penn victory over Kansas? Could be just hours away.
Yeah, that probably would destroy some brackets.
Yeah. Those are the ones in southeast Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Heck, freaking people from Penn are probably smart enough not to pick Penn in that game. Wah, 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 wah.
Don't mess with the Quakers.
Here's the question. in your current, most recent bracket or whatever, who do you have in the Final Four, and who do you have going all the way?
So my Final Four is Villanova, Michigan State, Cincinnati, and Michigan.
Wow. I have Cincinnati, Michigan, Villanova, Michigan State.
So we have the same exact Final Four?
Yep.
That's unbelievable.
But I'm sure our finals and our eventual champion is going to be different. Go ahead.
What'd you say?
I was going to say I have an all-Michigan final.
Wow. Yeah, we're completely different there. I got Cincinnati over Michigan and Villanova over Michigan State.
What, who's your, I'm going to assume your national champion is going to be Villanova.
Villanova over Cincinnati, 87-72 final.
Well, I got
Jalen Brunson, Mikhail Bridges cutting down the nets and moving on to the NBA.
I have Michigan over Michigan State, 74-72.
That would be a huge, huge battle in the state of Michigan.
Yeah, except for it would be done in San Antonio.
Yeah. So the state would explode.
Yeah.
They can move it to they can move that game to the Little Caesars, the brand new Little Caesars Arena, downtown Detroit.
Enough of that. Put it in Ford Field. We've been there. That field's actually set up perfectly. You could put a basketball court dead center of that football field, and there wouldn't be a lot of bad seats in the house. The bad seats would be the ones at the end zones.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of the basketball court and the football stadium venues. It's a little weird. Atmosphere's weird. I think it affects the players sometimes being in such a big space.
Yeah.
And I heard people say that attending it can be kind of tough because some of the seats, even though it seems like it's good, the actual court is so much smaller than a football field that when you're up top, sometimes and far out in the corners, it can feel like you're miles away from the actual court. But I know they want to sell as many tickets as possible, so they do that stuff.
Right. But I mean, we've
get more money that the players don't get.
We've toured Ford Field. That field was pretty. Even the cheap seats didn't seem that bad. But like you said, it's a football field, not a basketball court. I would think maybe they would put bleachers on the end of the court and not sell seats from goal line to goal line.
Yeah, they definitely have to surround the court with some more extra seats, more $3,000 seats.
Yeah. Or higher.
It's a nice stadium.
Yeah. But this one, is it in, I just said, it's in San Antonio. Is it in the, oh my gosh, I'm blanking. I don't want to put a Hulk Hogan in. That's the wrong thing.
I don't remember the Alamo Dome. They used to call it, but I don't remember what they're doing now. The house that Popovich built.
Yeah.
Wait, it's in San Antonio?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll pull it up now.
I mean, I can't think there's the university there. It's got a almost has to be. I mean, what else could be in San Antonio?
It would either have to be in the Dome or where Spurs play.
I mean, what dome is in San Antonio now?
Huh?
What dome would be in San Antonio?
I'm trying to think of the name of it. Hold on, I'm trying to pull it up now. But, you know, like I've been saying all day, everything's been kind of slow. Dagnabbit, I had it a second ago.
So there's the AT&T Center.
Yeah, just gotta scroll all the way down to it. Yeah.
Let's see.
Alamo Dome.
Yeah. The Alamo Dome?
Yeah, it is an Alamo Dome.
That's still, wow, it's still there. I think the Spurs used to play there, didn't they?
The who?
And then they built the Spurs used to play at the Alamo Dome,
Yeah.
I believe, before they built the AT&T Center.
Yeah. They had turned that place into a basketball court down packed.
Yeah, they should just do it at the AT&T Center. Yeah.
I guess many seats, man.
All right.
But yeah. Alright. We've gone over our usual time frame by a half hour or so. Next week we will go over the Sweet 16 matchups. Hopefully some other NFL news, especially if any other more big breaking free agency happens again. And it's a shame so much stuff happened today and not like next week. But it is what it is. And we will see you next week. If you liked what you saw, click that like button. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you know when this show airs next week. Leave a comment, let us know what you think, what your predictions are, what your Final Fours, championship, etc. For Michael Bragg, this is C the producer. Yo. This is C the producer. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
The Wildcats.
Go on. Which ones?
All of them.